Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from Tennessee, the hills of Tennessee, the barren hills of Tennessee, the winter hills of Tennessee, the home of who? How about Bill Smith and Joe Wilson? Yeah, a couple of famous Tennesseans, probably a couple of famous Floridians and Texans. I thought I would just give a shout out to some normal folks who are not famous for anything, maybe. Right, Bill, Joe, y'all out there? Yeah. Anybody know? Maybe there is a famous Joe Smith, Bill Smith, whatever I said. But yeah, in a world where everybody is either semi-famous, famous, or trying to be semi-famous or famous, maybe the cool place to be is going to be down the road, anonymous. Anonymity is going to be the goal. Tough to achieve, right, in today's world. Everybody, everybody's on social media or media of some kind. Here, I'm one to talk, right? But yeah, everybody is. Somebody's backing up. I hear them. I can always tell when somebody's backing up because I'm a genius. Now, I appreciate you being here on Sunday morning, and it's a pretty decent day this week. It's going to rain, I think, but right now, look, I'm in shirt sleeves, and so not too bad. After my trip out west, I'm not ready for hard cold, which I think is coming next week. I might wimp out next week. I don't want any 20-degree weather to be out here talking to you or even shooting, you know. So glad you're here. It is Super Bowl Sunday, right? So nobody's watching this. Well, maybe you are. Maybe you're up early enough that you're watching this before the Super Bowl coverage starts. Who knows? A lot of, as I mentioned before, talked about a little bit, a lot of firearms enthusiasts, really serious firearms enthusiasts, are not ball sports people, not really into watching football or basketball or any of that kind of thing very, very much. I've noticed in my life, I've observed that. Not, I don't know what the percentage is. You tell me. I probably have a skewed look at it because I've been so heavily involved in both in different points of my life. When I was involved in playing basketball in high school and college and everything, I was interested in firearms. I could not pursue it as much, but I had a strong interest in them. And I remember, not finding many other people like me. Imagine that. Not running into people like me, even then, that had an interest in firearms. And then likewise, when you're deep into the firearms world, and I don't know, go into your typical gun shop maybe and talk to a couple of hardcore firearms enthusiasts who work there, whatever, and that they may just very likely not care or even plan to watch an NFL game or NBA or whatever, you know. And I'm not crazy about either one of them. I watch them NFL. It's about all I will watch anymore. I watch playoff games. I get into basketball a little bit if it's March Madness, just towards, I don't know, the end of the tournament especially. Kind of like a fair weather person, you know. I'm not into it so much. It's like people who watch the Super Bowl who are not even football fans because it's such a big event, I guess. But I enjoy the playoffs, especially in the NFL and in some of the games. So I don't know, I'm weird. I have feet in both worlds and all sorts of worlds. I just always been a little bit weird, schizophrenic. I have always found myself, I don't know about you, you might be like this too, found myself in strange worlds that maybe a little bit of a square peg in a round hole or vice versa. For example, again, I've been a gun nut for a long time. I was an English major in college. How many people in my classes, especially the upper division English classes, lit classes and such, do you think I could have firearms conversations, with my classmates? You know, I've been banished probably if I talk too much about firearms, from the department. And then plus I was a scholarship basketball player, English major, so I was really kind of weird. Yeah, that's a real newsflash, isn't it? Sharing how weird I was and am. You would never have guessed that if I hadn't have told you. So anyway, this is my 300 Blackout Pistol, my BCM. I told you last week I need to have something a little more tactical this week after dragging out. What did I drag out? The Shiloh Sharp single shot, and I had a revolver. What did I have? I have fired so many firearms this week. I don't remember. Was it my... Oh, come on. Was it the Kimber? I'll have to look it up. I forgot. And we have done so many videos this week and had so much fun shooting so many different kinds of guns that I have lost track of who I am and where I am and what day it is. So I'm just going to shoot this thing a little more. We're not suppressed today. We're kind of quiet. Of course, we appreciate we shot it suppressed this week. I've enjoyed the Banish suppressors this week. Appreciate Silencer Central support. Really, every time I screw one of those on, which is illegal now, right? In video. But also Bud's Gun Shop. Appreciate them. And SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute. You can get some learning from a distance, some hands-on as well, on a variety of topics. They do exactly what they say they do. And then, let me go ahead and plug Alabama holster, because I've been using those a lot this week, and a lot of different ones. Yeah, speaking of the Kimber K6, I label them, but appreciate Alabama holster, their support. It's, they all look alike, just like a Glock, just like a 1911, they all look alike. So I write on the back what it is. That's not a problem if you just have one firearm, I guess, right? You don't have those problems, but we appreciate Alabama holster too. I'm going to shoot this thing. Okay. Let's rack one in. And now this is a supersonic ammo, as you can tell, and it's 147 grain ammo. So it's got some punch. Don't want to be shooting steel. I can shoot that Arizona tea container. Product placement. In that propane tank. And that gong over there. That buffalo. Something popped me in the nose. I guess it was brass. I don't know what is hitting me in the nose. It's that happened this week. I noticed. Is that charging handle moving or something? Maybe it's just the recoil and I got my nose. Nah. Not that close. It's not breaking loose. It must be the brass coming up and hitting me occasionally. Well, now it won't do it that I talk about it. Pretty neat. BCM. You know what? You get a little science going on here this week, perhaps. I got back from the trip out 3 weeks. If you want to hear all about the trip or a little bit about it, go back to the last week. You must have missed it. But I was out 3 weeks, and I had been shooting. This is just some bulk. A 300 Blackout I got online somewhere. It's what is it? I was going to write that. Oh yeah, I wrote on its bag. It's American quality ammunition, 147 grain bulk, just a bulk. It's not subsonic or anything. I'd ordered it, and seems to shoot fine. And I had a couple of boxes of it, 250 in a box, and I was shooting some of it before I left on that trip, and I set it. I was going to take it to the shed, and I set it for a moment on this bucket and outside, and I was going to, I'll sit here for now, I'm doing this, and then I'll take it with me when I go back to the shed or whatever, and I didn't do it. So I came home, and they had ice and snow here and some really cold weather. Rain, ice, snow, cold, really cold for around here, down in the teens and stuff. And it was out there in all that weather. And I said, oh man, because there's probably 200 rounds, I hadn't fired that much of it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And I said, well, I'm not going to. Well, I think what I thought today, y'all might, I'm going to, this isn't an ammo test for that. I don't even know this company or anything. It's irrelevant. I just, it's all fired fine that I fired. I'll just test some of it, see if it works. I'll just shoot it on the range, which is what I do anyway, and be aware of it. You want to, it's probably okay. Ammo was sealed better than we think, even though it was out in the cold. It had ice on it, snow, because it was open. It wasn't in his bag. If you have any ammo like that is suspect, I don't know, you got a lot of oil in it or something crazy like that. It was lying out in the backfield naked for 2 months. I don't know, but you hate to throw it away. Well, travel at your own risk, but you're aware of the situation. Like I'm aware of the situation. So there's no real risk. It didn't get more powerful on me or something, blow up the gun. At worst, it would possibly have gotten water in it and it won't fire. And I'm watching for that. So if I pull the trigger and nothing happens, I don't hear anything, I'm not going to try to shoot again. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to be very deliberate and open it up and see what happened. Was that a squib? Did the bullet just lodge in the barrel? I couldn't even hear it. As long as you're aware of what you're doing. So that's what we're doing right now. This is a test. Okay. So I kind of think it'll be fine. Let's see. And this is, neither here nor there. It's not a plug for this company I'm not even aware of or anything. It's just the nature of ammo. I've discovered over the years that, they're not a sponsor. We don't have any true ammo sponsors, but I just simply have discovered over the years that ammo is pretty tough. I've had some in some crazy weather and different conditions. I even have done some testing. I was going to write a magazine article many years ago, never did do it, and put some through some torture like that. And I almost could not get it to fail, So ammo is pretty tough. Now, having said that, we'll probably get 90% failures here. Let's see if it's still 2 liter worthy. Alright, I see what's happening. Okay, all those fired fine. I'm sure it'll do fine. I'll just keep those separate though, so I know what, I've got it labeled, and put the rest of them in there, and I'll just fire them on the range, whatever, and then in my brain I have a program. As I'm firing that ammo, I'm watching more closely, which we should be all the time. So I emptied that mag. In fact, in doing some video this week, I actually had that happen. It wasn't this or anything. This gun, I had a squib load, a true squib load. You'll see it in video, live, happening on video, sometime next month probably. It was a 9mm carbine, and I was firing fairly quick, I think, pow, pow, and in one round just didn't sound right. It was like way softer. It wasn't just a click, but it just didn't sound right. So I didn't pull the trigger again. And it's a good thing, because it apparently had enough powder to put the round in the barrel and pick up another round. So I stopped, I pulled out slowly the bolt, and a round came out, and I picked it up, and it was fine. And so the middle of the video, okay, I didn't want to be taking it apart, looking down the barrel, doing all kinds of crazy things like that, so I couldn't continue shooting it. So I just said, okay, let's cut and we'll see what the deal is here. and because you can't take chances with that, and because it could have been a squib load. So we cut and opened it up, and I took the upper off. Yeah, took it totally off, I think. And we looked down through it, and you couldn't see through it. No sunlight, which told us there's a bullet in that barrel. So I went and got a cleaning rod, good stiff one, and unlike some others I have had, it came through pretty easily. It went right on through, pushed it on through, but it was lodged in the barrel. And you just have to watch for that. You just have to watch for it. And so I had the barrel. When we came back live, I showed that bullet, and perfect rifling and everything. And it was, I could reload it if I was reloading 9mm. So got to watch for that. Okay. So anyway, just be aware whenever you're shooting, and then especially if you're shooting some suspect ammo. And that wasn't suspect. It was just some old Federal I'd had. I don't know. It wasn't because it was old. It's just with range ammo, white box Winchester or whatever, you're just not going to have the quality control necessarily on it, and bulk ammo and that kind of thing. So just keep an eye on that. So learn from, well, not my mistake, but from my misfortune or my experiences. Okay. So that's good to know. I'll put all that in the same bag, labeled and like a question mark or something, just to be aware. Watch it when you're shooting, especially. Always be vigilant, but maybe a little more vigilant. So yeah, we've been firing things. Gosh, a lot of fun. You might have seen a picture on Instagram of the Shiloh Sharps. Let's see. Let's get our grammar correct here. Yeah. The inventor of the Sharps, what was his first name? Some of you know. I'm drawing a blank right now. I wasn't planning to talk about this. But his name was Sharps, wasn't it? Yeah, Sharps with an S. Okay. So what I had out, and it's called a Shiloh Sharps rifle. So what I had out on the table were two Shiloh Sharpses, right? Yeah. Like one Smith & Wesson is a Smith & Wesson, but if you have two, you got two Smith & Wessons. You need plural, right? So kind of weird. It's like the Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses. If you say keeping up with the Jones, you're talking about one person, right? Sorry, grammar lesson. So yeah, we fired though. Gosh, had some revolvers out 2 or 3 times, and just took advantage of the nice weather. Jesse helped out. I think I've talked to you a little bit about that. Maybe we'll bring him in on a Sunday. Let you meet him if you haven't. He's helping us out some now, and doing some editing, some of the shorts you see going up, and videos, some of the clips on the Hickok 45 Shoots channel and around, and doing some help there and helping video when we need it, and just it's nice having a third hand to help out. So he and I got together this week and did some things, and oh boy, anything interesting. Well, I hope it's all interesting. You'll see. But had some nice firearms out. So many that I can't remember what revolver I had last week. Right? So I might shoot this again if it's okay. Okay. So hope you are ready to enjoy the Super Bowl if that's your thing. And I am going to shoot this little baby. This is all the same ammo. And I use 300 Blackout magazines. Some people don't, I think, but I had some issues with the standard AR-15, 5.56 mags early on, and so I just have bought a quantity of the Magpul 300 Blackout and the Lancer. And if you have 300 Blackout and you occasionally have problems and you think it's magazine related, I highly recommend just go ahead and get those that are designed specifically for 300 Blackout, and then you pretty much eliminate that. Now watch me have 5 malfunctions, which could happen. Could happen. In fact, I had one this week with two with my, well, Jesse did. He was shooting my V7 with a 300 Blackout upper, and I think it was this ammo. I believe it was. We weren't suppressing it or anything. But now he's left-handed, was shooting left-handed. Now that made a difference. It was doing fine for me, but then he had a couple of malfunctions after it got dirtier. So that has me a little concerned because it shouldn't have been the magazine. All right, let's take a couple more shots here. Some of those red targets over there. Going high. Oh yeah, I got to hold 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock with that sight. Okay. I still like this thing. Who'd have guessed it? I told you I'd be more tactical this week. I'd have a tactical firearm of some sort. Although I almost reneged on that and then brought out the Model 70, I have to admit. I ran across it in a safe. And oh, I need to fire that old pre-war Model 70 maybe next week. Okay, since I have fulfilled my tactical obligations. This was already dirty too, and let's just shoot this thing. It's fun to shoot. Okay, what else do you want to know about? I don't know. I was going to talk about the Colt and stuff. My original Colt, cavalry Colt, you've seen in videos recently, I hope, and the one where we compared the modern Uberti cavalry Colt with my old Colt and everything, and again, it's neat bringing that thing out occasionally and firing it a little bit once a year, whatever. I always want to take really good care of it. It's kind of a museum piece in the fact that it's so old, and they're kind of rare, and that one's pretty good shape. So that's a primo investment of mine. So I take care of that, keep it in the bank a lot. It's just since I love the Colt single action, that is, I don't know, in a way it's kind of, I don't know if it's the epitome or the top of the line. If you like the Colt single action, having a first generation is really cool if you really like the Colt single action Army. And then having a cavalry Colt, U.S. cavalry Colt, one of those, that's up there pretty far. So that's pretty cool. And those of you who enjoy those firearms, whether it's the replicas or the Colts or the second generation or whatever, you can appreciate that. I know you can appreciate it. Something I don't deserve, but I have it. I will take care of it. And, while I'm on this planet, and then somebody else will have it later, right? I hope. What about young people? Do I have anything to tell them? No. Yeah, I do. How about being an independent thinker? Again, it's a common theme, I know. And it's harder and harder to do that. It was hard. It's hard for everybody. We're kind of we're not a victim's a strong word, but we are kind of a product of our environment, right? We all want to be liked, we want to fit in, and that's good to an extent. There's no need to always be the contrarian, right? For no good reason. But if we're thinking for ourselves, we're going to be the contrarian at times. We're not going to agree with the crowd and everybody. So my advice, again, is not to be afraid to do that. Young folks, anybody, but as you're growing up, you especially want to fit in, all right? Anybody who has been around teenagers or young people, how so important that is to almost all of them. Not all of them. But try not to make that your goal in life, to fit in. Read Emerson. Read Thoreau. Yeah, Emerson. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Now, he wasn't talking about male and female. He's talking about being a man, being my interpretation, being a person of integrity, being your own person, being an actual, being an individual, thinking for yourself. He must be a nonconformist. Now, I don't know that he's talking or trying to tell us to be a problem child, to be a contrarian, like I said, on everything, but you're just a robot if that's all your goal is, to be like everybody else, right? So A little good advice from old Ralph Waldo, good friend of mine. Good friend of mine. I knew him quite well. Okay, anything else you wanted to know about? Let me just shoot a little bit more. Maybe I'll try a couple more of these just to further the experiment a little bit. Yeah, I've got an empty mag here. Put 6 or 8 of these in. And again, hope you support the people that support us, like Alabama Holster. What a company, man. I've been using their stuff this week. The flapjack outside the waistband, you're outside on your belt holster. I like that little thing. And then, of course, the pocket holster, several of those. And my phone holster is always on me. Appreciate Alabama Holster. And Ballistol. Been using a lot of that this week. I really have. And Talon grips, I've had my hand around those quite a few times. All right. And also appreciate Gun Fun Targets to make these paper targets for us. They got some new ones coming. All right. Okay. So this is the weather beaten ammo. All right. Keep that in mind. Fine. I always think about the military, at least back in the old days. I'm not sure what they do now, but you see, at least in the movies, and everything in a movie is accurate, right? But all stockpiles of ammo dump where they keep the ammo. Think about it. You're in Europe, World War II, and the ammo you're going through, whether it's a machine gun ammo, whatever. I don't think we built a lot of air-conditioned and air-controlled hutches or huts for ammo storage, wherever it was, whether the temperature was 10 degrees, whether it was rainy weather, cold weather, hot weather, name the war, whether it's in Vietnam or whatever. Nice ammo cans that seal really well. But and then too, you can shoot. You can't find as much of it now, but old surplus ammo from the 40s, the 30s, the 50s, and it just tends to work. And so ammo takes a lot. Like I said, I did a test. I was going to write an article. I was mainly dealing with 38 Special 357. Well, I had some 45 too, actually, and maybe 40. I soaked it in WD-40. This is back in the 80s or 90s. And I would soak it in little jars of WD-40. I put it in the freezer, put it in a bag like this, and then put it in the freezer for about a week. I left it outside, like on the shooting table, just let it rain on it, all that kind of thing. And I think the only thing I had trouble with one round, as I recall, 140 caliber round. I don't remember what brand or anything it was, and I even threw in some hand loads, 45 ACP hand loads, and it was just cast bullets that I had loaded, and those things all fired after all of that, and it just all fired, and I didn't really notice any change in power factor or anything. And I really soaked it well. Now, I'm not recommending you do that, especially with ammo you rely on. But I thought it was interesting to discover that because I had been reading articles in the gun magazines. Back then, everything was on paper. Most of my early shooting career experience about don't let a lot of people use WD-40 then, or some other 3-in-1 oil, for their things. And didn't have all these great choices that were widely available now. And I have to admit, I used WD-40 for probably first 8 or 10 years through the 70s probably, and that kind of thing. But and a lot of people did. It is supposed to be, I think, more highly penetrating, maybe, than just regular oil, motor oil, 3-in-1 oil, whatever. But there were articles, and you'd be admonished all the time about not letting any oil get near your ammo. And so I tried never to let that happen. And when you cleaned your revolver, make sure you had those chambers really dry, because you don't want that ammo in there and there be a little bit of oil around to get into that powder and all that kind of thing. You get surprised and your ammo won't fire. And I'm sure that has happened. And older ammo was probably not sealed as well. I don't know. But man, it's hard to kill that stuff. At least the modern ammo, it's hard to kill it. So after that, I ceased to be too overly obsessive about a little oil residue, in my chamber. Now I like it dry. When I clean a revolver, I use Ballistol. I clean the chambers and the barrel and everything. Liberally spray it and brush it and get it all clean, and maybe 2 or 3 patches of really oily rags, through the chamber and barrel and all that. And the last thing I do is I use a very dry patch with nothing on it in the chambers. I do dry out my chambers, but I'm not obsessive about it as I used to be. Yeah, I do the barrel too, but it's not as big an issue in the barrel if it's a little damp, right? But anyway, I knew you were dying to hear about all that, so I told you about it. I did. So here I am again, shooting a firearm that's just not like me, right? A goofball I am, shooting a single shot one Sunday, and then this thing, AR pistol that my paperwork, I have it suppressed quite often, the banished 30 gold or something on it, so I just leave the paperwork for that in the stock. I need to put some tape over that. It's kind of ugly, right? I'll just tape that in there. As I always say, I'm too old or too young to go to prison. Everything I do is legal, okay? I did a video this week about that. It's so funny, people comment whenever they see us in a video, and of course with all the clips that John's pulling out, and Jesse now, the Hickok 45 Clips channel and the Shoots channel, we get to relive some of those same videos or pieces of them. It's kind of fun. But same thing, if we happen to have somebody, which we did a couple of different times, who owned a Glock with a switch on it, or a Glock 18, as you know, silencer center, and so they come around, we're able to shoot that stuff, and so, but so many people, when they see that in a video, or an AK, whatever, M60, is that legal? That's got to be illegal. Nobody can own that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a constant flow of those comments. It's always funny, and so just from an educational standpoint, in a video this week, I let people know that no, it's legal. It's just that some things are more difficult to get your hands on. Some things you almost cannot get your hands on, like a Glock switch or a Glock 18. They're just, there's hardly any of those that are transferable now. You've got to be a manufacturer or something, SOT, special licenses, which our sources had that, If it's a transferable, which means that you or I could buy it if we have the money and we're willing to go through the paperwork, that's a little different. It's just a matter of it being expensive and having to go through the waiting time with it and all that. Like my AK, it took over a year, I guess, to get that thing. So, but anyway, yeah, they're legal, duh. They're legal. You got hundreds of thousands of people with those things, and hardly ever a crime committed with those. Any legally owned machine gun, things like that, suppressor, whatever it might be. But people don't want to hear that. This sounds too dangerous. It looks too dangerous, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. So I'll let you go, and I will hopefully see you next week. The weather might be rather ragged, but I'm kind of ragged myself, I guess, in a lot of ways. So yeah, maybe it's a good match. So I'm glad to be home. It's good to be back on the compound. off the road and back here with you all, hopefully on a regular basis. So hope you can put up with me. Life is good.